Hi there, it's Alexandra from the Middlesized Garden YouTube channel and blog, and here I'm talking about back pain and knee pain in gardening, because gardening is a great cause of back pain and knee pain can actually prevent you from enjoying your gardening. So I've gone to talk to physiotherapist Denise Kesson to get the expert advice on what to do.
So we definitely notice here at the clinic that when spring has sprung or after a long bank holiday weekend, that we get a lot of phone calls that Tuesday or the beginning of that week for people that have hurt their backs while gardening. It's quite similar to DIY, but you know the gardening is definitely they can pinpoint, and you're much more likely to have an acute injury of the back due to gardening.
So which are the jobs that are going to give you back pain in gardening? I think we all know that if you're going to be digging a lot or carrying heavy loads, then you are likely to suffer, particularly if you only get a chance to garden at weekends. But what I hadn't realised, and what Denise told me, is that it's very much about the awkward angles.
So either lopping of trees and trying to manage that themselves, so getting into awkward positions and having to pull or push, not in the most advantageous way, lifting a lot of loads or digging, so doing a lot of repetitive digging movements as well, that can really stir the back up, and prolonged bending over. So if people are doing a lot of planting up,
if where you repot your plants and plant your seeds and generally work at what would normally be called a potting bench but might just be your kitchen work surface, it is important that that is the right height for you, because if you spend half an hour just slightly stooped over, that is going to put a strain on your back. One of the best ways of making sure that you don't get a bad back with gardening is to set a timer on your phone and to do things in 15 or 20-minute bursts. Don't do all the weeding, all the bending down at once for an hour. Do 15 or 20 minutes weeding. Go to the potting bench, repot things, organise things, perhaps clear out the potting shed, and then go back to weeding again after another 15 minutes. But if you're someone who only gets to see your garden at weekends and you're working in an office for the rest of the time, the best thing to do is to try and stay generally fit and supple. Pilates classes are a huge help. Any kind of sort of walking at lunchtime and things like that, everything that's good for your fitness is going to make it easier to garden. I asked Denise to give me some easy exercises that gardeners can do at home in order to relieve pain on their back or knees or to protect themselves from it. And actually I found them very good, because I've had a bit of a twinge in my knees recently. So I did those exercises for at least a week, and I can tell you that twinge has gone. So let's go over to Denise for the exercises for your back.
the first one is the gentle knee rolls. It says laying on your back, as Charlie's demonstrating, with your hips and feet in a straight line, knees bent up. You're going to roll your knees from side to side. Remember to keep breathing through the exercise. Coming back, and just this should feel nice and comfortable. So you're not trying to take yourself right to your end of range. You're aiming to do between 10 and 15 of these repetitions, and one repetition is one rotation to the left, coming back to the centre, and then it's another one when you rotate to the right. The next one is your pelvic tilt, so you just bring your feet hip width apart, and then you're going to rock the pelvis towards you and rock it away. Again, this shouldn't feel really challenging. You should just gently move it towards and away, keeping the rib cage relaxed as you do it. Your head should be relaxed as you do it, and it should feel quite comfortable to do. Okay. A third exercise, you can go onto all fours, and we call this the cat stretch. So you make sure your knees are below your hips, your hands are below your shoulders, and you arch your back up or down and up, thank you, and then lowering it down, tucking that bottom under as you come up and sticking it out as you drop down. And you can do it so you drop the head down as you arch up and lift the head up as you arch down. Again, aim for between 10 and 15 repetitions. And then your final exercise for your back, you lay flat on your front, and we call it a sloppy press up. So you have your hands below, underneath your shoulders, and as you breathe out, you straighten your arms, keep your hips in constant contact with the ground, and just feel that extension in your back. Breathe in at the top and then lower down, and you just repeat this 10 times.
So do you need warm-up exercises before you start gardening? Denise says that you don't necessarily have to do formal warm-up exercises, and I think that could be quite difficult to fit into a busy day. But she does advise if you walk around the garden, see what needs to be done, pick up your tools, perhaps do a few of the easy jobs first, and then you'll find that you have actually, just by moving around, warmed yourself up. Of course, one of the ways of easing the strain on your back is to kneel for tasks like weeding and planting and things like that. But of course, if you have slightly dodgy knees, then another problem appears. So I asked Denise what I could do for my knees, which I have to say are sometimes troublesome, and gardening. And she said, well, firstly, a kneeler. I asked her whether you actually needed any particular kind of kneeler, and she said no, you need it to be comfortable and to have, a decent amount of protective padding under you. Some people have kneelers with rails that you can help haul yourself up on. In fact, I had bought 3 different kinds of knee pads from Amazon. I found the ones that were best reviewed, and that was Bergen & Ball's Nilo. It was Kate's Garden kneeling pads, and it was the No Cry heavy duty kneeling pads. Now these strap onto each knee, and just one little tip, do make sure you put them on the right knee, because the Velcro should not be on the insides of the knees, because obviously it would mean your knees could stick together with the Velcro and then you'd fall over, and I can't be the only idiot who's done that. We found that all 3 knee pads were actually very good. We used the No Cry heavy duty ones for things like gardening, weeding a gravel path. And I think probably we would use the sort of slightly lighter ones, the neoprene ones from either Kate's or from Bergen & Ball, for pretty much any other tasks. But I also have a pair of gardening trousers from Genus, and these have built-in knee pads, and I actually find that much easier than carrying a kneeler around or strapping on knee pads, because they're just there. You can just bend down, you don't have to think about them. And I also find the Genus gardening trousers very comfortable. I'll put a link to those in the description below. So let's have a look at the knee exercises for gardeners.
And the first one is called a static quadriceps. So you push the knee down flat and feel a tightening in the front of the thigh. You push down and hold for a count of 3, 2, 1, and then relax and repeat. And you want to do at least 10 to 15 repetitions of this exercise. The next one you do is a straight leg raise. So again, keeping the leg straight, you push the knee down to get an isolated contraction of the front of the thigh, and then lift the leg up just about 20 centimeters straight up in the air. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and lower down and rest, and then repeat. So you tighten, lift up, and you make sure that there's no bend in the knee as you lift the leg up and back down. The third exercise you can do, we call is the inner range quads. So you can roll just a normal cushion up, place it under the knee, okay, so that you're aiming to get about a 30 to 35 degree angle bend in the knee, and then tightening the front of the thigh, you let the leg extend up, but keeping the knee supported by the cushion, and relax down and lift the foot up and lowering it back down, and repeat up and down. For all these exercises you want to aim to do just 10 to 15 repetitions of each one. Okay, so to do the wall squat, you lean against the wall, bring your feet about a foot away and let the knees soften. Keep your hips and knees and feet the same width apart, and slowly slide down the wall, and you're aiming to get to a 90 degree bend in the knee. Hold that for a count of 3, 2, 1, then squeeze your bottom together and straighten back up. If you can't quite get down to 90 degrees, then it's fine. You just work with where your knees are comfortable. You want to aim to do a good 10 to 15 repetitions of this exercise.
I asked Denise when you should see a physio, and she basically said that if you wake up the following morning after gardening with all your muscles stiff and aching, it's most probably just because you've worked them. And so it's worth trying something like a hot shower or hot bath or a hot pad in order to make that feel better. But if you have something that really worries you, an unfamiliar pain, something perhaps that's a bit sharp and not an ache, or you have pins and needles or any other symptoms that really do not feel quite right, Denise thinks it's better to go to a physio sooner rather than later, because they often see people who've tried to manage the situation for about 2 to 3 weeks and actually they haven't done themselves any good. They might possibly have even made it worse. And obviously, why go through those extra 2 to 3 weeks worth of pain? The ideal with physiotherapy is that the physiotherapist can see what's wrong with you, can tell you how to manage it, can give you exercises, and with any luck you won't have too many follow-up appointments. So it's not like committing to a lifetime of physio. If you've enjoyed this, do please hit like, because then I'll know you like to hear more about how you live in and with your garden. If you subscribe to the Middlesized Garden YouTube channel, you'll get interviews with experts on video trips to the shows, garden tours of middle-sized gardens that are absolutely beautiful, but you probably wouldn't otherwise see them because they probably won't be found in magazines, some of the tips from the great gardeners, and all the things that you need so that you can enjoy your garden more. So I do hope you'll join us, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.